Yo, what's good, people? Big up, Wagwan, Ypre, where you dude, where you depan, up top, blessings. And we're there back again with another one. You see me? And this time, we're talking about Wolves away, return to the Molineux Stadium, Manchester City take on Wolverhampton Wanderers. This time we're not playing host. How would I they're hosting us. Let's leave it that way. I don't have the terminology right. I know my head is kind of going mad, but regardless, we're here to talk about it and have that conversation. No nobody early in the building yet in regards to the comments, but that is no problem at all. Let me know as you guys are tuning in. See there we have Jacob K in the chat with a message that I cannot read. No problem though. Thank you, Jacob, for being here. I do appreciate your comment nonetheless. And another one there also can't read that, but you don't know. Thanks for being here nonetheless. But yeah, before we start off though, well, first of all, I do hope you guys are having a good day. Not always just about football. Hope you guys are having a good day. I've been having a good day. I can't lie. I don't have really too much to complain about. It's been decent, and I'm feeling fairly good. Hope you guys can say the same. And before we get into the Wolves game, I do want to speak briefly on that Newcastle game because, as you guys would have known or at least noticed, I did not do a preview or review for that Wolves game for various reasons. Could say that, but mainly because I was unable to, or I didn't really see the point of it, considering our circumstance. I had a feeling something like this would have happened. Either Pep would have put out such a weak team that we wouldn't have been able to compete with the levels Newcastle would have been able to take it to, which that didn't happen, but I thought it might. Or on the other hand, I was thinking it might be a situation of um, I thought it might be a situation of us not taking it seriously in terms of effort and us getting knocked out. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to focus right now, but my head is all over the place. And just in case you have any more shows coming in, let me get this second screen up here on my phone and moderate because you don't know we're not here for the foolishness this time around. And moderate. But yeah, let's get into that Newcastle game quick and fast. I don't want to spend too much time on it, considering it is a Wolves preview, Wolves versus Manchester City, of course. But let's have that quick conversation. So we got kicked out of the Carabao Cup, unfortunately, and I do have to let you guys know I only was able to see the first half of the game. I wanted to watch the entire game, but never work out like that. Something very important came up just as the second half was about to start, and I did need to leave the apartment. So I tried to watch it on my phone. It didn't exactly work out for me that way either. It was issues with it loading. I got into somewhere where the signal was probably also bad, so it wasn't showing up really good on my phone, and it was just a whole thing. So in the first half, I was home, had it on the TV on the big screen, and I got to see pretty much a good view of the game, but unfortunately, that didn't carry over into the second half. So I'll only be speaking about the first half. Repeat, I will only be speaking about the first half of the Newcastle game, and I want to do it really quickly so we can get into Wolves. But it's funny because the games that so when I usually don't get to watch games, we tend to lose those games, and I find that very funny. So I try my best to watch as much of Manchester City as I can because I want us to win every game. And I usually have match day rituals like I'm wearing my City shirt or I'm drinking a cup of tea and watching the game. And I didn't do any of those either. And it's funny because the third one of those is to watch the game itself. And I didn't get to watch the second half. In the first half that I did get to watch, I thought we played really well, and I was very happy with that. And then in the second half, from what I'm hearing from others who did get to watch the full game, the performance had a bit of a drop off. So I apologize, guys. I do apologize for that. Next time I'll do better and watch the whole game. But yeah, that's pretty much how that went around. Usually this season we've seen where in the first half we have an okay start. We're at a decent level and we're doing our thing, and then in the second half after a little team talk, I don't know if it's Pep saying something, I don't know if it's the captain group having that talk with the rest of the players, but we usually see an improvement in the performance coming out in the second half. This time around against Newcastle, it seemed like a bit of the other way around, where we started off really good and at a high level, and then into the second half, it kind of petered out a little bit. And compared to the first half, it was a bit more of a duller performance. But nevertheless, before the game, I had predicted 1-0 to Newcastle because of what Pep said about reserving energy and rotating before the game and stuff like that. And keeping in mind that, maybe long term in regards to this competition, we wouldn't be able to completely do the entire journey. And as such, we needed to eventually decide whether we wanted to go all the way in the Carabao Cup or if we wanted to go all the way in the Club World Cup. But regardless, I was just thinking because of all of these other things coming into play, it might be a situation of Manchester City not being able to win this game for some reason or another. So I went with 1-0 Newcastle. Obviously, a big part of that was the lineups, like I said. So after I saw the lineups come out, I was actually looking at it and saying, you know what? I like this lineup. It's really good. We have Alvarez starting at striker. We have Vardial starting at the back next to Nathan Ake, next to Akanji. Rico Lewis was coming back into the team. You guys know I'm a big fan of Rico Lewis. Ortega is a really good goalkeeper. We know that much. We had Kovacic coming back into the lineup. We know he's a good player as well. Calvin Phillips was getting his chance. Not Matheus Nunes. Matheus Nunes didn't play, but Oscar Bob was coming into the team, and he's really good as well. Grealish was coming back into the squad. Gomez was playing right wing. Player wise, I was looking at it and I was saying, you know what? Compared to what I thought when Pep gave his initial thoughts on what we would do in terms of setting up for the game, I thought the lineup would be a lot weaker than what we actually saw. So I changed my prediction to 1-0 City. And then, you guys know how the game went. We went on to lose 1-0. So I guess the first prediction is actually right. But it's not a big deal. We move on. It's not a problem. And just to talk about the players really quickly, and keep in mind, guys, I only got to see the first half, like I said earlier, unfortunately, but just working what I got. And I wanted to keep my conversation on what the players went on with just to the first half because that's mainly what I got to see. But Ortega, like I said, I think he was really good. Sometimes I kind of forget how good he is because he doesn't really play that much, but I was very impressed with what I saw from him again. And it does kind of suck for him specifically to be out of the cup so early because it means even less game time for him now. But his passing in the first half was very on point, even when Newcastle decided to press him. I think, yeah, Jacob K with some messages that I still can't understand. Phil Foden in the chat saying hello. I'll get to your other comments very, very soon, but let me finish this point on the players first, and then I'll definitely get back to the comment section, guys. But thank you for being here. And Phil Foden, it's been a while since I've seen you in here, so thanks for being back again. Hope you're doing good. But yeah, Ortega, yeah. So he had a really good 1v1 moment with Murphy as well. I remember that. That was close to the end of the first half, and he came up with a really good save. So I do hope that he does keep up the good work. I think both Ake and Akanji had okay games. Nothing to really write home about, and nothing to really kill them over either. I think both of them gave a decent account of themselves in the game. I think Vardia was going up against Isak, and I think he handled him very well. On one occasion, I remember there was a play off the left hand side. No, it was the right hand side for us, but left hand side for Newcastle. I don't remember who it was that played the ball, but it got past Akanji and it ended up square on the foot of Alexander Isak, and he was going off 1v1 with Vardial. And Vardial was very Diaz esque in how he marshaled the situation. So I'm very proud of seeing how he handled that. And I really do trust him defensively. I think Rico Lewis was good as usual. It was a very physical game against a physical team, and he struggled a bit with that, but his positioning and link up with Oscar Bob, Sergio Gomez, it saw him get up the field in very high position at times. Obviously, he was playing inverted, so that was expected, but you have to keep in mind this guy's a defender, but at the same time, he's basically a midfielder. So yeah, big up to Rico Lewis, of course. And I think it was overall a good half for him. Calvin Phillips has been a big talking point, and we'll talk about him later on as well. But I think he has had an okay first half. The issue with that is that's the best that we've really seen of Calvin Phillips in a Manchester City shirt. So just an okay game leaves a lot of City fans very unimpressed. And apparently his second half wasn't that good, but I didn't see it. So I can't really say or comment on that. But in the first half, even though he did some good things in the game, I think he also struggled a bit at times. And weirdly enough, I think his short passing is a bit worse than his long passing. I don't know how that can be, but that seems to be the case for him. I think for his short passing, he misjudges the weight of the pass just a little bit too much. And sometimes I think the direction of his short passing is a little bit off as well. And that means whoever's receiving the ball needs to, kind of over accommodate a bit for that positionally. That's one thing I've always had a bit of criticism in regards to Phillips for, but I think his positioning was improved in this game. Not to the levels that I would want to see, but based on the last time that I saw him compared to this time, I think there was a slight improvement in that regard. I would like to see him positionally get to the level of a Kovacic because that is where he'll really be, that would take his game to another level. And he would be able to flourish more in the stuff that he's good at if he gets his position into that type of level. But long passing wise, I think he had a couple good switches of play, which is always something that he's been doing a good job of since he's coming to Manchester City. But that cannot be the only thing that's up to standard. The other things currently you need to show improvement on, and he doesn't play a lot of minutes. I don't want to kill him too much, but in regards to that first half performance, I leave it as only decent. Um, Kovacic. I think Kovacic also had a really good first half. His positioning, like I spoke of earlier, his passing, his close control, all good as usual. He's very graceful on the ball in the midfield. And at the same time, he's very industrious off the ball. So I was very happy with his return to the team. Oscar Bob was the main talking point from a positive perspective, of course. He continues to impress with another appearance in the first team. After growing into the game for a little while, his confidence was beaming after a certain point. At maybe after 20, 30 minutes or so, come on, man. Oscar Bob was it was the Oscar Bob show. He was linking up really good with Rico Lewis, with Julian Alvarez, with Sergio Gomez. And when he's in that flow, he's shining like the gem that he is. Special player, and I do hope to see more of Oscar Bob going forward as well. I think Grealish had a poor first half, in my opinion. Again, I only got to see the first half. Don't want to stop reiterating that. I only got to see the first half of the game. But Grealish had a poor first half, in my opinion. I think Livermore pocketed him. And to be fair, Livermore was one of Newcastle's best performers from what I saw. And Jack didn't really seem to be going at him as much as I would have liked to see. But again, you have to remember he's just returning to the lineup, and we know he's a rhythm player, so he needs some time to build up into that consistency and get his confidence back. Fans comparing him to Doku definitely do not help with that, by the way, just saying. Um, we should be backing all our players and appreciate them together instead of exiling one of them when the other one is doing well. It can be a case where we appreciate both of them, and I think that's how we need to go about it. Pep Guardiola said it really well in his press conference as well. It can be a situation where Grealish plays on the left, Jeremy Doku plays on the right, and we can have a really good match setting up like that. But people are now saying drop Grealish, send him to Saudi, all this type of reactionary nonsense, if you ask me. I think there is definitely a place for both of them in the squad, and we definitely need to appreciate both of them. And supporting Jack Grealish will definitely help him to return to his form and confidence a lot sooner than later. Um, I think Alvarez was good in the first half as well. He got himself on the end of a couple of good chances. Two of them, particularly, I took note of. The first one, unfortunately, got saved. It was a good stop from Nick Pope with an outstretched leg to deny Alvarez. And that was a good chance. I was also set up by Oscar Bob, by the way. Big rubber like Bob. I don't know that go. And the second one was a lot closer. Alvarez was close to the goal on that left-hand side of the post. Um, I remember him putting a lot of power into that shot, and it seemed to have skimmed off the crossbar and went out for a throw-in. Nick Pope, if that had passed him, Nick Pope would not be saving that. Trust me. I don't think Nick Pope would have been able to get anything on that. It was a really good opportunity from Alvarez, but at the end of the day, it didn't go in the back of the net. So yeah. Um, Sergio Gomez, I think, is the last player. I think he had a decent first half as well. Decent, yeah. Um, it's his first time playing right wing for Manchester City, and I do want to keep that in mind. He did good enough for me, though. Good enough, that is. He was linking up with Oscar Bob and Sergio Gomez. Spoke of that a little earlier. And for me, I think if his close control was a little better, and if his dribbling was a little better, what I would like to see from Sergio Gomez, if he's played there again in the future, I would like to see him carry the ball more centrally from that sort of position. For me, I remember him crossing the ball a lot, and like laying off the ball for runners like Rico Lewis or for Oscar Bob, linking up with 1-2s with him. I would like to see him carry the ball into that central area. But I understand if he doesn't think that that's something he can do right now. It's something I want to see him improve into doing in the future, if it's that he will be playing that role in the future as well, because it does kind of kill the play since he's a left-footed player, that he'll be on that right-hand side out wide, and then he'll turn and try to cross the ball in from there. I think it would be a lot more effective if he could switch it up sometimes and drive inside that space. Maybe even win a foul here and there, and those type of things. Maybe when he's in the 1-2s, he can be the one making the runs inside the box and making stuff happen more centrally. And just that little bit of difference and switch up can make him a lot less predictable and a lot harder to deal with by defenders. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about the players. And all in all, it might be a blessing in disguise to go out of the competition now, as it would kind of be a conundrum later. Phil Foden did mention that in the chat as well. I'll get to that soon. But the scheduling of the Club World Cup wouldn't have allowed us to go all the way in the Club World Cup and all the way in the Carabao Cup. Eventually, we would have to choose which one we want to go all the way in. And personally, I would have wanted the Club World Cup. I like winning the Carabao Cup, and the fact that it's early in the season gives us that bit of a boost to go on and get that extra momentum in the business end of the season in the other competitions. But the Club World Cup is a competition we've never won before as a club. It's an opportunity that we've never had before, considering you have to win the Champions League to qualify for it, and we won the Champions League for the first time in our history last season. But based on that, and we're here now, I think we should be looking at winning it. Unfortunately, the schedule is how it is, and there's nothing we can do about that as Manchester City fans. And I doubt there's anything the club can do about it either, considering Liverpool was in a similar situation 2-3 years ago. They had to send a youth squad out against Aston Villa, and they lost 5-0. So I would want to see us in that sort of situation. And can you guys imagine if we got Manchester United in the quarterfinals of the Carabao Cup and had to send out under 18s? And oh my god, I don't even want to get into that right now. But yeah, let's get into the comment section and see what you guys are saying. There seems to be a bit of comments in here. Like I said earlier, big up to Phil Foden. Glad to see you back here again. You've been a long time supporter of the channel. Let me know if you want to be a moderator. I'm still looking to add more moderators into the chat. I can give you moderation right now if you're willing to accept that. But let me know if you want to be a moderator. I can go ahead and sort that out for you. And he said, Newcastle game, poor performance. It's funny because, like I said, I only got to see the first half. And I thought we were so good in the first half. So, hearing about poor performance in the second half is just like, where did it go wrong? Where did it go wrong? I really wish that I got to see the whole game consistently, but what I had to do at halftime was really important. And in hindsight, I'm glad that I went on to get that done, because if not, when did we play? If not on Wednesday, I'd probably have to wait until tomorrow to get that done after the game. So, yeah. Phil Foden goes again and says, we can't win the League Cup anyway because of Club World Cup. Yeah. I think the quarterfinals is either a day before or a day after we start the Club World Cup in the semifinals. So, the squad can't be in two places at once. We'd have to choose at some point in time. And yeah. Jacob K was saying something, but the only part of this I can read is Haaland, and big up Haaland. So yeah, Haaland for sure. Phil Foden says, Big up, bro. Sometimes I don't catch a stream live. No problem at all. So long as you're liking, you're subscribing, and you're supporting either way. When you are here, I do appreciate you being here and being a part of the conversation live. Regardless, you can watch it on the playback afterwards. You can still leave me comments on the video itself because I do reply to those as well. But all support is the same. So I do appreciate it regardless. Don't worry about it. And he says, what are my thoughts on the Doku versus Grealish? I hate that Grealish is getting hate. I did give my thoughts on this. Um, but I'm gonna say it again. It's absolutely stupid because Grealish was cooking last season. And I remember rival fans were giving him a lot of grief for not getting the numbers. But when we saw what he was doing in the Champions League and we as Manchester City fans were appreciating it, we were defending him. And now I'm seeing a lot of people who were defending Jack Grealish. As soon as we get a player of a more flair and extravagant play style, everybody turned their back on Jack Grealish now. And it's, well, not everybody, but a lot of people have turned their back on Jack Grealish now and they're like, oh, we don't want a player like this anymore. But you know what? Pep Guardiola wants a player like this, though. He's very important to Pep. I like him, and even if I didn't like him, so long as he's doing what Pep likes, I'm still going to be fine with it. So it's just so stupid, man. So stupid. And Vardiel was class that match. I agree. I really like what I'm seeing from Vardiel, and I like seeing him in that central area as well. So yeah, I like what I'm seeing from him. Um, Getting your saying, read my message out. I would love to, but I cannot understand for the life of me what you are saying. For example, this one, you say trim. I am assuming you are saying great trim or nice trim, in which I'm going to say thank you for that because I did this myself. I did this fade myself. Don't know. Still getting better at it, but yeah, man. Big up. Phil Foden says you're speaking a lot of language, Jacob. Please tell him because I'm not sure if he realizes. I have no idea what he's saying. Phil Foden says, true, Phillips need to position himself more better. Yeah, I think he over time, it's always something I'm saying, you're in training with players like, well, last season he was in training with players like Ilkay Gundogan, um, Kevin De Bruyne. Now he's in training with players like Bernardo Silva, don't forget. Phil Foden. I'm talking the players who play centrally, that is, and Rodri, of course. Now he's in training additionally with Matheus Nunes and Kovacic, who are all players who are really good positionally. I was thinking it's only a matter of time until he eventually, you know, develops the ability to know where he needs to be. Pep Guardiola can also coach that into him as well and let him know, you know what, when the ball is here, I want you to be in this type of position. When they're in training, he'd go, stop, 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 Phillips, this is the type of run I want you to make in this type of situation. That's how you got here. I need you to be here. So you can do this. This is the purpose. When you're here and the ball comes to you, you need to do this to the ball. That type of stuff. But it seems like it's taking him a bit longer than I expected to get to the required level. But I do see improvement in there. So I do want to say keep going. But time is also running out. Like you need to especially know where Rodri is out. If he's going to be playing against Wolves tomorrow, then I need to see improvement on that Newcastle game. Newcastle was an improvement on previous performances, and if he plays against Wolves, I need to see improvement on Newcastle like no, because it's the time now where we need you to be at the required level. Phil Foden again says, I want to see Grealish in the Kovacic role. I've been an advocate of trying Jack Grealish in that 8 position, but I don't think he would be able to do it as well as Kovacic does. So I would like to see Grealish play more like a 10 role, kind of like what we've had Foden been doing. So, like, if we're going to have Foden out on the wing, then maybe you could put Grealish in there with a player like Kovacic who will do more of the defensive work. And I know Jack is good defensively, but I wouldn't put Jack in a pivot. I would put Kovacic in a pivot, but I wouldn't put Grealish in a pivot, if you understand what I'm saying. And Phil Foden again says, I don't know about Gomez. He has a nice skill set in advanced position, but I don't know why it hasn't worked. Personally, I think he's a lot better on the left-hand side than on the right-hand side. Um, Maybe if he had swapped positions with Oscar Bob, it might have been a bit better for him because he would have had more space to move into. On that right-hand side, there's only really lateral movements that he can make. versus like if he's playing centrally, he can be going forward and back, he can be going out towards the wing and back. He can go further inside on the left hand side and back to his, say he's playing right sided eight, that is, he can make a lot more movement than if he's just solely playing right wing. On the left wing, it seems more natural for him. On the right wing, he's good, but again, I need something more from him. I'm sure you understand what I mean. Um oh yeah, yeah. No problem, no problem. I'll definitely sort that out. And he says first half was okay, second half was nothing. Yo, in that first half, that shot that I was speaking about with Ortega and Murphy, that was Newcastle's only shot in the game. In the first half, sorry. That was Newcastle's only shot in the first half. We completely shut them down. They couldn't really create anything. The defending was really good, like I said, particularly from Vardial and the midfielders. But Ake and Akanji was doing their thing as well. They had good moments. I don't want to discredit them, but we suffocated them. They weren't allowed to really do anything in that first half outside of that Isak chance ish and Murphy on the other side with his shot with Ortega. That was also set up by Isak, by the way. And Jabari Sinclair, big up to you, my bro. And he says, "Thank God, City out." I'm sure you'll be happy with that. For those who don't know, he is a Chelsea fan. Um, hey, you better make sure you win this. You get your goal of the month now, so you can't really complain. Nico Jackson still on fraud watch, by the way, but you beat a Brighton side who have been good this season and last season as well. I know they rotated, but I'm not going to take a shine away from you. You won your game. We didn't win ours. Just make sure you go on and win the cup. I don't think you will, but you say you need it. So let me see what Chelsea come up with for this one. And Jacob saying some stuff again. Phillips, Gomez, Chelsea again. I don't have a clue what this guy is saying. I don't know if you're doing it for the bands, but I don't know, man. We'll have to chat another time. We'll have to chat another time because I'm really just doing just a little quick talk on the Carabao Cup game, and then I'm going into Wolves chat because it's just a Wolves preview. But we'll definitely get you on the channel again in the future. Don't worry about it. Um, but yeah, let's get into that Wolves conversation once again. I wouldn't particularly call this a bogey fixture, but it has caused us a bit of trouble in the past. If you look at our recent visits to the Molineux Stadium, they have been good, and I don't think Wolves are very confident of hosting us tomorrow. But that being said, since they've come back to the Premier League, it's not been smooth sailing. Is all I want to say. So first time around, I remember it being 1-1. It was a 1-1 draw, and it was obviously at their ground, 1-1 draw. Nuno Espirito Santos was their manager at the time, and it was a frustrating game. That was in the 18-19 formidable season, and the next season after that, which was 1920, the season that Liverpool won the league, we lost to them home and away. And it was a very, very frustrating matches for me. I've not been the biggest fan of Benjamin Mendy, football wise, of course. I thought when he just came in, he was good. Obviously, injuries and all of that, and his level was slowly going down because of the lack of games he was playing and all of that. But those Wolves game, particularly that one, I think it was at the Etihad. That was where I drew the line with them, and I'm like, yeah, I'm done with this youth. He's dead. Sell him as soon as possible. I remember Adama tried. The ball went out to Benjamin Mendy over to our corner flag, just to the side of our goal, and he thought it would be a great idea to try to body off Adama Traore. Yeah, big buff Adama Traore off the ball, and he just flick him like I don't even know what off the ball, and then took the ball into the box and assisted the winner to, I think it was Raul Jimenez. And I was so very annoyed because I think at that point in time the game was 2-2, and I was already pissed that we let it slip from 2-1. and then we just literally gave them the finisher right there. And man, let's just say I'm so happy that Adama Traore is not at Wolves anymore. That's all I'm going to say about that. But in regards to Wolves, I think they've had a mixed season so far. I think they're struggling to finish their chances. They seem to be creating a lot of chances though, and their results seem to be being decided on transition a lot this season. It would be a really good time or a good game to have KDB in the team. You know, for all those who remember, he did put 4 goals past them 2 seasons ago, and he did that Haaland celebration, giving the fans a little bit of heads up that yeah, we're working on it. We're getting the big guy in. Obviously, he had heard something because KDB doesn't really have a specific celebration that he goes to as his number one celebration, but I've never seen him do that one before. And everybody knows that as Haaland's thing. So seeing him come out with that, everyone was like, oh yeah, there's no second meaning to this. It can only be what we think it is. He's trying to signal to Erling Haaland, and what a connection they've had last season as well. Really great foreshadowing from KDB right there. But this time around, it will be up to players like Phil Foden and Julian Alvarez to basically take on that mantle for us and help us get the game won in transition. And for Wolves, I don't think we should be underestimating them in this game because even though they have a new manager, Gary O'Neill coming in after, I think it was Lopetegui last, he got sacked. They've still been playing some good football. And I think if they had a good striker or an elite finisher in their squad, yo, they would definitely not be 16th in the league right now. They could probably be top 10 in terms of the football that they're playing. I think they've played some really good stuff from what I've seen of them so far. So the first game of the season against United, I watched that. I think they deserved more out of that game. They did some really good stuff in that game, and they did kind of get screwed in the last moment of the game with that penalty decision with Onana completely wiping out the Wolves player. I definitely think that was 100% a penalty, and if that was Ederson, that would have been a pen. I know you guys remember Arsenal at the Emirates last season. Ederson did something a lot lighter than what Onana did in that moment, and that was not a pen, but Ederson gave a pen to Nketiah. Absolute foolishness if you ask me, but hey, the refs will ref, them will do them thing, it's fine. But even the game against Liverpool that they had just a few weeks ago, or maybe last week, I don't remember exactly when they played Liverpool, but I didn't see the game, but from what I heard and what I heard from Liverpool fans as well, Wolves created a lot of chances in that first half, and they just didn't have someone to be that finishing touch, just put the ball into the back of the net more than one time. They took the lead, and the first half ended 1-0. From what I'm hearing, it could have easily been a 3-0 first half. So that's one thing to definitely look at and be very wary of. I do think that they'll have a lot of opportunities. Maybe not a lot of opportunities, but they'll get themselves some opportunities in the game, and it will be up to them to see if they will be able to finish them off when they come up against us. We know from experience that sometimes you have some teams going through a bit of a rough patch. When they come up against Manchester City, against the champions, there are either two things. It's either they shrink in their shell and they're like, oh, forget how to play football because Manchester City is in town. We saw that with Newcastle when they came to the Etihad. And at the same time, teams raise their level to play against Manchester City. Like, you know what? We're probably going to lose this game. So, you know what? Let's just do our best. Nobody's expecting us to come out of this with anything. And then that ends up being a performance that they can leave and be proud of, whether they win, lose, or draw. So, I don't think this is a game that we can be underestimating them coming into it. And obviously, they went on to capitulate in the second half against Liverpool when Liverpool ended up turning on the pressure. But we need to be pressuring them from the start of the game. And that's what I think we'll be doing. I don't think Pep will be playing any games with them. And I do think that this game is here for us. So let's see what's going on in the chat as well. Where was I? Right here, right here. And yeah, no problem, Jabari. If we can if you don't even want to do it live, we can do a pre-record because, like I said, there's always so much to talk on Chelsea about, and I'm always willing to have that conversation, especially while they're in the mud. So yeah, we'll talk and sort out something. Don't worry, bro. And Jacob says, I love your choice of chain. Big up and respect. I don't know, I have my number 9 and I have my arrow as well. Phil Foden says Adama used to destroy us. And it's so funny because he gets slated for his performances for the majority of the season. But you know he is rising for the occasion when he comes up against Manchester City. He fits that description I was giving just earlier when I speak about, raising your level against Manchester City. That was Adama Traore. He's like, everybody is watching this game. I need to have the best game of my life because Manchester City is here. I'm so glad he's not there anymore. Um, Jacob again with a couple of messages that I cannot understand. Best. Sorry, man. I'm sure the last word is channel. I'm not sure what the word between best and channel is, but hey, best channel. A comment in my comment section. Hey, I'll take it. I'll take it. Thank you. And last season 3-0. Yes. Thanks for bringing that up because in the last season we did beat them 3-0 at the Molineux Stadium. And if I remember correctly, we beat them 3-0 at the Etihad as well. So, like I said, in previous years, it's been a good trip, or previous trips, or previous games against Wolves. Let me say it that way because I want to include Etihad games as well. We've been doing well against Wolves. So I can't really say I'm not going into this game with confidence compared to previous years. But yeah, I don't think that there's anything too much for us to be fretting about too much more than the fact that they have been playing well and not getting results. Eventually, stuff like that will click, and hopefully they're not clicking against us. That's the main thing that I'm worried about. But in regards to what we have to do, I don't think that changes at all, regardless of if they want to switch that on or not. Because I trust our defense right now. We've only conceded 3 goals this season. I don't think that should change against a team that hasn't been scoring goals. Let's be real. So yeah, good item. Good remember. Good. Let me slow down. Good memory to remember that, Jacob. Phil Foden says, class from KDB that match. He was on different smoke that day. And he could have and maybe should have gotten 5 because I do remember him hitting the post in that game as well. So, if he had scored 5 in that game, he would have entered an exclusive club for players to have scored 5 goals in a Premier League game alongside Sergio Aguero. But yeah, man, KDB was assassin. He's really the assist guy, but to come up with 4 goals in one game was something I never expected from him. And Phil Foden says Wolves lacked a finisher. Definitely. I think that Cunha guy that they have in their attack line, I think he's really good. I think he's been playing as false 9 because I see him dropping deep a lot and creating a lot of chances alongside what was it, João Gomez in central areas. But when Cunha is in front of goal, all the ability, like FIFA where you get to allot the points in each of the bars that you want. It seems like he has everything in creativity and dribbling, but like finishing is just all the way down at the end, and it's like, yeah, let's save that one. But like I said, hopefully it doesn't switch on for him in this particular game. I think this is Indian flag. I'm not too on with my flags, but I think he's saying he's from India. Big up to you, man. MCFC is here. Big up to MCFC. And he says, Jacob, stop spamming. Hey, one of my prize moderators in here. Big up to MCFC. Ethan says 9-0. I'm sure you mean Manchester City. And I would, my thoughts on your predictions. I would absolutely love to see this happen. But respectfully, I don't think it will be that. But again, I would love to see one of your predictions come through, Ethan, one day. And when it does, you will be able to tell everybody, I told you so. And I hope it happens. I'm rooting for you. But since we're talking predictions, anybody else here, let me know your predictions in the chat. My prediction is 3-0 Manchester City. I'm going to 3-0 Manchester City. I don't think we'll concede. I think Ederson will get another clean sheet. He's been good last few games as well. If we play the defense, I think we're going to play in which Guardiola would stay and probably have Diaz and Kyle Walker coming back into the team as well. I think Ake will probably return to the bench and we'll have Akanji in there for the ball playing as well. Stones is still out. And Pepe is a big fan of Akanji, isn't he? So with those things in mind, I think we should be able to keep a clean sheet. We should be able to string together 3 goals. Erling Haaland should be returning to the lineup as well. And yeah, 3-0. I think we can definitely get a 3-0 out of this game. MCFC coming in with his prediction, and he says, I'm going 4-0 to City, Haaland to score 2. Please. Please let this happen. Yo, it's been a while since we've had a Haaland hat trick, don't you think? Don't you guys think it's been a little while? He scored 1 hat trick this season. Maybe this is the game. You know what? Yeah. 4-0 Manchester City. MCFC, you changed my mind. 4-0 Manchester City, Haaland hat trick. I'm saying it now. That's what I think is going to happen. If I remember correctly, Haaland has 44 Premier League goals at the moment. And if he scores 6 more or 2 hat tricks, that you're looking at 50 Premier League goals right there. And then we'll be talking about how quick he got to 50 Premier League goals. Those are the conversations I want to see happening. So big up to Erling Haaland, and I do hope that he continues on with that. MCFC. No, yeah, man. Big up yourself. You definitely changed my mind. You definitely changed my mind with that. Um, Scarlett says it would be Haaland's first away hat trick. Scarlett, no trolling today. Trust me, no trolling. Easy and Bill. He's saying, hope everyone is safe. You walk in W's. Definitely 100% agree with that. Bigging up MCFC in the chat as well. But yeah, so long as you plan to be constructive, thank you for being here, Scarlett, and we'll be glad to have you. But let's talk about the players that I'm particularly keeping an eye on both sides and hoping to see come into this game with some sort of effect. For Wolves, if Wolves are to be getting anything out of this game, I'm looking at 3 players and saying, you know what, you guys have to turn up. First one is Pedro Neto. I think this season he has 1 goal and 4 assists across all competitions. Of course, I'm not sure what his stats for the Premier League are, but he seems to be one of Wolves' best players this season. So, like Phil Foden just said in the chat, I'll bring that up on the screen in a minute after we finish talking Wolves. But he's been on form this season, and we need to definitely keep an eye on him. I don't remember which wing he plays, and I think he predominantly plays on the left wing. And I hope he plays on the left wing against us, because that means he's going up against big man with the armband, Kyle Walker, who has been amazing so far this season. So that's a battle I would definitely be backing Kyle Walker in, and I think it would be a very interesting battle to keep an eye on for the neutral as well. So both strong players from each team coming up against each other. I'm sure that will be very interesting to see. He's a very selfless player, obviously very creative, as seen by his 4 assists this season. Hopefully, we can lock him down and stifle him to the point where he has a poor game. That's what I want to see. And I think it's very possible as well. Next player I want to keep an eye on is Hwang Hee-chan. Just to confirm real quickly, I think he scored 4 goals. Yeah, 4 goals this season across all competitions. I'm not sure what he had in the Premier League again, because the app that I have gives me all competitions. I didn't look at his Premier League stats so far. But 4 goals, he's definitely one of those players that Wolves are looking at to put the ball into the back of the net. I think he's a leading goal scorer for Wolves at the moment as well. So if there's somebody going to come up with a goal, and I think he's predominantly a striker, but he's more of a forward because he can also play out on the wings, or maybe a part of a front two, because they do play a back three sometimes. Hwang Hee-chan is one of those players that we cannot allow him to be getting free opportunities inside the box, because he is one of the more clinical players who can put the ball away. So yeah, I want us to play Hwang Hee-chan with a lot of respect. And I wouldn't mind seeing Vardial going head-to-head with Hwang Hee-chan, like how he was going head-to-head with Isak in the Carabao Cup game as well. So the third player I want to keep an eye on for Wolves is Jose Sa. I've always liked this goalkeeper. Every time I've seen him for Wolves, he has been impressing me. I can't lie, he has been impressing me. Um, I think was it last season or the season before where Wolves had a mad defensive record. They still weren't scoring goals, but then defensively they were still one of the best teams in the league, and that's why they stayed up with such a poor goal scoring record. And then when you look at it, you can see why. He's a quality goalkeeper, man. I thought maybe by now another team would have come in and say, you know what, give me Jose Sa, because we need a goalkeeper. Maybe a Man United would have been looking at him, getting rid of the hair, but they went and got Onana instead. Let's see who has a better season this season. It probably will be Onana because Wolves are in a bit of a crisis at the moment, seeing that they can't put the ball in the back of the net. But I do like Jose Sa. I do like him, and I expect to see him make a few quality saves as well. Let me get to the comments before I give you guys the City players that I'm keeping an eye on. And then, just before we shut off, we can talk about Spurs versus Liverpool this weekend. Just briefly, because I'm a bit excited about that game. I love watching the Big Six games, even when it's not us. There's less stress on me. I can just enjoy some good football. And both teams have been playing some good football this season. So, yeah. There are a lot of comments in here, a lot from Scarlett as well. Let me see. Scarlett says, big up. Big up to you. Phil Foden says, Neto on form. Yep. Definitely did speak about that. Scarlett says, can I be admin? If you're here halfway through the season, no trolling, then we can talk. Then we can talk. I'm disgusted with positive fans. Not sure what you mean by that. Let me know what you mean by that. But he also says, are we not allowed to criticize players anymore? I'm all for player criticism, but there is a limit. And I think we need to measure how we criticize players as well. Some people definitely do go over the top. I'm not sure how you criticize players specifically, but I wouldn't say don't criticize players. That is absolutely mad. Criticism is a part of football for sure. Scarlett says, I said Grealish was bad that game and has had a poor season so far, and apparently that's taking it too far. I think that's very fair to say, and I share that sentiment. I don't think he's had the best game last time out, but so far, he's had injury issues or worries, and it's still just the start of the season. When he builds up some consistency, December time when games are every 3 days, I think that will be a telling time for Jack Grealish, and we'll definitely need him then because we don't really have a lot of wingers at the club, so we'll definitely see. Scarlett says, I am constructive to the conversation on Fridays. Well, hope to see you here on Fridays then. No problem with that. But glad to see you being here constructive. Phil Foden says that's a fair statement. Not sure what this is in reference to, but hey, fair statements over here. No unfair statements, man. Scarlett says, how come your subs, MCFC Connect subs and MCFR TV subs have frozen? It'll get moving eventually. Don't worry about it. It'll get moving eventually. Stuff like this happens. Something's gonna go happen big and it's gonna pop. Keep a track of the tracker at the bottom of the screen. I like to keep you guys updated, although you can check it yourselves. But 142 out of 300, we've come a long way. Long way. Scarlett says Doku over Grealish. What I will say to that is give it some time. Give it some time. Doku has been really good so far, but it's only been 6 games. I was on Twitter earlier and I saw somebody talking and they said rank wingers of Leroy Sane, Raheem Sterling, Jack Grealish, Riyad Mahrez, and Jeremy Doku. And I'm like, why is Jeremy Doku in this ranking and he's played 6 games compared to everybody else? Brilliant player. I love what I've seen from him so far, and I've liked what I've been seeing from him even before he came to City. But I'm not ranking him as a City winger on any list after 6 games. That's way too soon. Give the man some time for playing football. Scarlett says, but it's because of Ethan always predicted. Nah. I like Ethan's predictions. Yeah. So lay off for Ethan. I like Ethan's predictions. The man keep doing him thing. And lineups as well. I haven't seen a lineup from Ethan today. Ethan, if you're still here, let me know what your predicted lineup is for this particular game. I'm sure it will include Scott Carson, in which I don't think it's going to happen, but outside of that, he usually gets it pretty close. So, yeah, if you're still here, Ethan, let me get your prediction in the chat or on the video afterwards. Um, Phil Foden is here as well. He says he was saying Grealish had a poor game and started poor. I can agree with that. Yeah. Definitely, definitely. And again, I think he will improve in time. I'm not sure if Grealish will start this game. I think he could. I think it could be Grealish on the left, Doku on the right. But and we'll talk about the three players I'm looking to watch. Spoiler alert: Doku is in there. Yeah, but I think it could be Doku on the right, Grealish on the left. Otherwise, Grealish could be coming off the bench. But I do think he plays and continues getting minutes, and yeah, he'll get his chance to build up his rhythm slowly but surely. But yeah, let me get into those rest of players by the way, because we're just about 51 minutes, and I didn't think the stream would get to 51 minutes, but yeah, let's try to wrap it up before the hour mark. For City, the three players that I'm looking at, before I give you the other two, because I already gave you guys Doku, Phillips is not one of them, but I do want to talk on him really briefly. From what I saw in that first half, I thought he had a decent game. That was his first start all season, and last season he didn't start since I think Bristol City in the FA Cup, which was like before the quarterfinals. So looking at that, I can't really kill him too much for not, being, fitting in seamlessly into the team. And as such, I can understand if Pep wants to start him again for the next game. Now, that being said, I need an improved performance from what I saw against Newcastle, because you would have had a 90 minutes performance 3 days ago, and now you're coming into the team again in a position where we need to win this match. We could lose the Carabao Cup and there be no meltdown. I'm sure majority of City fans are level-headed and calm and saying, you know what, we're out of the Carabao Cup. Obviously, we would have loved to have won the game because we don't like losing any game, but it's not the end of the world, right? Now, this Wolves game, we need this win. It would be a record win. It would be the best ever start we've had to a Premier League season under Pep Guardiola, or maybe even in the Premier League era for Manchester City, because from what I heard, we've only won 6 in a row twice, and one of those times was in Pep's first season. This time around, we can do it where we've done it for the second time under Pep, and I do think that it's an opportunity for us to get that elusive seventh win in a row and break or set that bit of history in the club. So I want to see that happen. But Phillips, you must have a good game, bro. And I'm defending you to go out there and show us what you can do until you do show us what you got. And I'm not going to over criticize you before that point, but for me to back you, you need to show me something, essentially. That's how it goes for every player, by the way. But for the players that I do want to focus on, Jeremy Doku is the first one. I think he'll be very electric in this game, as he usually is. And I think it's a really good opportunity for him, especially if he plays on the left-hand side, because from what I know of Wolves, their two right backs are Doherty and Semedo. Yeah, Doherty and Semedo. And both of those players can be got at defensively. So go and give them a run. Be very, very intentional with it and get us some change. I do think he can do that. I think he's definitely the main one everyone's keeping their eye on at the club in this moment. And I do think that this game is tailored for him to go on and do well. So Jeremy Doku, you have my stamp, but that don't really mean much because you pretty much have the stamp from every City fan right now. I'm sure there's no City fans hating on Jeremy Doku, but I think this is a game where he's in a prime position to go out and just be exceptional. Probably, probably could be his best game in a City shirt. Who knows? Never know. But I'm looking at Jeremy Doku as someone to definitely propel us to 3 points in this particular game. And the next two players that I'm looking at, we'll speak of them conjunctively, but Mateo Kovacic, Matthias Nunes. I think that should be our double pivot. I personally wouldn't start Phillips in the game, but like I said before, if Phillips starts, I'm not going to be like, yo, Pep dropped it. He just throw the game away. I know a lot of City fans probably on Twitter will be thinking like that, but I'm not one of them. So I'm looking at this game and I'm saying, you know what? Kovacic, Nunez, go on and do a thing. Let me see what's going on in the chat here. All right, Scarlett, please keep it towards a match. If you're going to keep going off topic like you are, and I don't. Let me get rid of all of these messages here. Get rid of all of these messages here. Scarlett, you're walking on thin ice. I saw your message. Clinical is the goat. Appreciate that, but we're not slandering anybody on my channel here. I have a lot of respect for Ethan, a lot of respect for my Mancunian way and all the other city channels. Please, calm, relax. Won't hesitate to remove you if you continue with this because people don't like this. Yeah? And you're making people in the chat feel uncomfortable when you do stuff like that. So please just relax. Yeah, so Matheus Nunes, Kovacic, I think that should be our pivot in the game. I think both of them can help each other out really well. Personally, I think Kovacic is the one better defensively, so I think he'll be deeper than a Matheus Nunes. Matheus Nunes, on the other hand, I think can drop back and help him out defensively because he's really good in that regard. And going forward, he can link up with other players further forward, maybe even interchange with Kovacic sometimes. Or he's the one staying back, and Kovacic is going up for a 1 and 2 run sometimes, and then switch again. Matheus Nunes is the one going up. Very interchangeable midfield pivot that is. And I think it's something that we haven't seen before. So it would be a really good opportunity for Pep to go out and get this done. It is away from home, and it will be a very hostile environment, particularly for Matheus Nunes, since he's going back to his old, brief stamping ground. So I do want to see what we can cook in this game in regards to that midfield pivot. And we have seen Kovacic and Phillips in the previous game. I would like to see the look of Kovacic and Nunes to see how the dynamic of that is different. And I would also love to see the dynamic of Phillips and Nunes to see what all three midfield pairings offer us. But I don't think we'll have the opportunity to see all of those before Roger gets back. So for now, I'll settle for Kovacic and Nunes and see what's going on there, see how we like that. And then future games, we'll see what can happen. But yeah, those are the Manchester City players that I'm keeping an eye on in this particular game. And let's move on back to the comment section again, because you guys know the comments are everything. Yeah, comments are everything. Scarlett says, "Don't drop Julian." I think Alvarez has been great this season, and he's had a really good season, hasn't he? And last game wasn't his particular best this season. I don't think he was bad, like I said earlier. I think he had a decent game, but man, what a player, Julian Alvarez. I don't think he's getting dropped anytime soon. I think in terms of us winning games, um, Julian Alvarez is a very key part of whatever we can do right now. Phil Foden says, "I'm scared for Phillips versus Arsenal." That's part of the reason why I want to see him play against Wolves, because it's really his last opportunity to show us anything until that Wolves game in terms of a start. Now, I did say I don't expect him to start, but if he does start, I could understand why Pep wants to get another good look at him. Pep said in his press conference, by the way, that he was happy with what he saw from Phillips, even though there was a lot of stuff to work on. I don't know if that's just paper talk and him protecting the player, but at the end of the day, if Pep says, "Yo, I'm back in Phillips," then he might show that on the pitch. So don't be surprised to see him start against Wolves. Now, after Wolves, we have Leipzig. I expect to see Rodri come back into the team for that game. And then after that, immediately afterwards, we have Arsenal. So for me, in terms of getting a lot of minutes in a game, Wolves is the best chance for him. If he doesn't start, he can come on after 60 minutes. Remember, Kovacic still just come back from a bit of an injury, so don't be surprised if you see, we start with Kovacic and Nunes, and then Kovacic comes out for Phillips, and then it's Phillips and Nunes, and we see how that formation is working for us. So I want it to be a point where Phillips gets his chance against Wolves, and then we decide in that game whether we want to see him start against Arsenal or not. Because if he's for me, the only way he's playing against Arsenal is if he starts. Because if he doesn't start, I don't even want to mess with that midfield too much, and then give them an opportunity to get back into the game or whatever. Because obviously, if we're losing, we're not subbing out defensive midfielders, right? If we're winning and want to hold on to a lead and Phillips was good and he didn't start, maybe he can come on and do a thing. But the only reason why you're scared is because he's not giving us that confidence. And the game against Wolves is a prime opportunity for him to give us that confidence. Yeah. Um, let's see. Phil Foden here says, which Stones was match fit, I would play him at CDM. So John Stones, as we all know, Pep did give an update on him as well. He's been injured from what? Super Cup? I think Super Cup was the last game he played in. Did he play against Burnley? I don't remember. But he's been out for a while now, as we know. Starting him in CDM, I can see why you would want to, but I would have still done what he's been doing this season, starting centre back and inverting to that position, in which then it would probably be a lot easier for, in terms of weight being lifted off of Phillips' shoulders. So we had a midfield of Nunez, Phillips, and Kovacic, or Foden, Phillips, and Kovacic, and Stones was inverting in that. That's a lot of cover and protection for Calvin Phillips. So in that scenario, it's like, like playing a player like Kovacic right next to Phillips is kind of like holding his hand. For me, playing Stones and a player like Kovacic next to Phillips is like holding both of his hands. It's like really setting him up to say, you know what, go on and show us what you are good at. And if he's unable to do it in that scenario, then I don't know, man. But if you mean like starting him at CDM, I'm not sure. I wouldn't be against it, but I wouldn't say go ahead and start him because I've never seen him do that before. I'd have to see that and then say, you know what, I like it. Than to say, you know what, go ahead and do that right now because I don't think he's ever started a game in CDM in his career, unless I'm mistaken. If you guys do remember him starting a game in CDM, let me know. But in regards to last season, it's mostly been starting at centre back and inverting into that position. Um, Rosemary Gentles, thank you for being here. It's your first comment of this stream. Good to see you. And she says, "Hey, Clinical, a good afternoon to you. We encourage positive vibes, no negativity in this stream. 100,000% echo this message. Big up to Rosemary." Scarlett says, "Is my background a painting?" No, it is not. It is a picture that I found on the internet. Yeah. And Scarlett also says 9-0 on Saturday. Following Ethan's prediction, hey, like I said, 4-0, Erling Haaland hat trick. You heard it. If it happens, you heard it here. I don't know if you heard it here first, but I'm saying it because I didn't hear it anywhere else. You heard it here first. 4-0, Erling Haaland hat trick. Bookmark it. And Rosemary says, "With all due respect, my friends are not trollers. Be respectful." Now, order for the people in the back, please. That's not just for you, Scott. That's for anybody coming onto the channel. We preach respect here. We preach camaraderie because we're building a good community here. And Rosemary is one of those central pillars of this type of community. Very, very respectful person. I really do enjoy having conversations in here and having her inside the chat. And very respectful mod as well. But yeah. And Scarlett also says top of the league, which 100% agree with that. Top of the league. I don't know how that go. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have for you guys. And really quickly before we go, what we saying for Spurs versus Liverpool? It's at Spurs Stadium. Both teams are on form right now. And I don't know, I'm going to say Liverpool. No, I'm going to say 2-2. I'm going to say 2-2, and it's going to be a draw. I think that's a great result for us as well because right now Liverpool is really, really close to us in terms of the league, and you kind of need a little bit of breathing space, So 2-2 would be a good result. Spurs drop points. They're not closely on our tails right now as they were previously, and it's a good opportunity for them and Liverpool to drop points right now. If not 2-2, then I think Liverpool probably edge it 2-1. But I think it's an opportunity for us to to extend an even further league lead at the top of the league, and we can really get into our stride in regards to the rest of this season. We also have two Big Six fixtures coming up next month. We do play Arsenal, we play United at the end of the month, and it's going to be a very interesting month for us because with those two fixtures out of the way, if we end it off with wins, and hopefully we're going into that Arsenal game with a clear win streak of 7 games. If we can, that's a lot of good form to go off of. If we beat Arsenal, that's going to give us a lot of confidence going into the United game as well. Both games are away, so yeah, I'm hoping to see some really good things happening. And yeah, that's pretty much all we have for today. Last few comments here. Scarlett says, amazing stream. Thank you for that. I do appreciate it. Rosemary says, hi Scarlett, sending you love from Jamaica. Um, Rose, do you? I know you're Jamaican. I know you stay using the flag, and I do respect that. But you currently live in Jamaica. I obviously I'm Jamaican, but I don't live in Jamaica at the moment. I am living in the US. I do hope to go back home soon, but let me know because I'd never got that confirmed, and I didn't want to assume that. But nevertheless, wherever you're from, big up yourself, same way. And Scarlett says I could listen to you talk all day, clinical. Again, really appreciate that. Thank you for that. And Scarlett says it's Brighton after Arsenal. Yeah, yeah, definitely is. Like I said, I think the second game in the month of October after the Leipzig game is Arsenal, and then the last game of the month in October is United. So that's pretty much how that month of October is set up. Mr. G, thanks for being here again. And he says, bro, just join. Big up to you. I'm about to close it off. Thank you for being here. We pretty much just got the buzzer beater here. And yeah, hope to see you guys on the next one. Until next time, for those who didn't get to be here in the stream, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Let me know your prediction. Let me know your prediction for the Spurs v Liverpool game is as well. And I reply to all your comments if I see them coming. Thank you guys, and until next time.